All right, welcome to the Let It Fly show. I am Michael Severe. We are live inside the downtown version of the Let It Fly Sports Bar. We affectionately call it the Capital District. It was actually named that by the city council. Did you know that? It allows you to make an entertainment district out of it, which would allow you, if we'd ever get to the point where you could take alcohol from business to business. Little small nugget there as we get started on the Let It Fly show. Reminder, as always, happy hour is a great time to come to Let It Fly Sports Bar, whether you're here in La Vista or out west or very soon in Lincoln, because from 3 to 6, great specials, drink specials, food specials, and then from 10 to 1 a.m., again, drink specials and food specials as well. Speaking of food specials, every single day of the week, we're taping this on a Thursday, which means you have the steak and frites special today. You've got a pizza special. You got Taco Tuesday. You got Dollar Wing Wednesday. Every day there is a special for you. And we want to thank our presenting sponsor, as always, Bud Light, for making it easy. Easy to drink and easy to enjoy no matter where you are, no matter what you are doing. And now that we're getting closer, we're in spring, we're moving towards summer, I want to remind you about our premier summer drink, which is the Red Bull Watermelon Margarita, which is a really good deal, always specially priced. Good deal for you if you want to get something that is really refreshing as we get closer to it being unbearably hot, which for me, it already is. Once it's past 70, to me, unbearably hot. But anyway, we have a special guest for you. I'm very excited about this. Someone I've known for a while. Matter of fact, my wife worked with her at the Med Center years ago in maternal care. She is an OB-GYN. She is also a former Husker softball player. Also, co-founder of the 50 Mile March, which is the organization that raises money for veterans and veterans causes, that marches from Lincoln to Omaha every year. She does that. She was on the Titan Games, with The Rock. She was on that as well. What else she did? Oh, she's got a really cool program. Her name is Dr. Jaime Seeman. She goes by, her moniker is Dr. Fit and Fabulous, and part of that, she has her Hard to Kill series, which is about nutrition and working out and making yourself hard to kill, by keeping yourself healthy. She's done all kinds of events in terms of bodybuilding and all kinds of things. She is coming on, of course, talk a little bit softball. Also want to talk a little bit about, women's health, that kind of thing as well. I'm very excited to chat with her. Dr. Jaime Seeman will join us. Jaime Stevens, by the way, is my buddy's wife, who also worked, ironically, or coincidentally, one of those two, with my wife at the Med Center, which is kind of funny. But Jaime Seeman will join us when we come back here on the Let It Fly show. All right, welcome back to Let It Fly show. Excited for our next guest. I just read all the things she does. It would take another 15 minutes to do that. But let me just say, first of all, Dr. Jaime Seeman joining us, OB-GYN, Mid-City OB-GYN, and former 2020 Mrs. Nebraska.
Mrs. Nebraska.
Mrs. Nebraska.
You got it.
Yes. And a lot of other stuff that we'll get to. I want to start off with, though, because Tom Osborne likes to start with a quote. And so I'm going to start with a quote for you. This is from your former head coach, who said, Jaime has been a true leader on this team. She set the tone in the weight room, in the classroom, and has been an integral part of the senior class, rallying the team together as it marches towards its goals. Borgie is a Husker to the core, and we are blessed to have her in a relationship role and leadership role in 2007 campaign. Talk about Coach Ravel playing for her, and when saying something like that about you. The nickname Borgie is interesting too.
Yeah, well, my maiden name was Borg.
Yes, right.
So, and I love the Tom Osborne reference because my father played for Tom Osborne at Nebraska. So going to Nebraska and wearing the Husker jersey and playing for Coach Ravel was just a monumental moment for me. Like I wanted that Husker jersey on me. We've been Huskers through and through, but Coach Ravel, and now fast forward, it's been a long time since I played.
Yeah.
Go Big Red though. We're playing in the NCAA tournament starting tomorrow, and I'm wishing the team good luck. But Coach Ravel is not only a phenomenal athlete herself, but she really cares about the players. She knows that there's always life after sports. Mm-hmm. And, for me, I loved competing. I loved being an athlete, but now here I am. I'm working as a physician. And I think that there's so many things that athletics can teach women and girls, just the efficiency of your time, understanding how to lose, understanding how to perform in really stressful situations.
Yeah.
I could make so many different references to Coach Ravel, how she would teach me breath work on the mound. What are you thinking when you're looking at the strike zone? What do you do, when the game's on the line? How do you get your mind to, perform? And she's so good at those things. And she's just been such a cheerleader for women's sports in general,
Yeah.
not just softball. And so, to hear her say that, to this day, Coach
Yeah.
Ravel and I still text.
Really?
She, asks me for advice all
Wow.
the time about her health. And so it's,
Yeah.
it's a two-way relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give back to what she gave to me and the opportunity she gave to me.
I was born in 1969, so the year that Title IX passed. And you brought it up a little bit there, but not just physically, the mental aspect of women being allowed to play sports, organized sports, has really changed multiple generations now since that came about.
Yeah, big time. I mean, now we're seeing this explosion, right? Everybody watches women's sports, professional sports. I'm the team doc for the Omaha Supernovas, and it's so fun to be back with the athletes. But to watch the evolution, I mean, Coach Ravel, when we played, we were playing in Bullen Stadium, and now it's been named Rhonda Ravel Field, which is a great tribute to somebody that's been such an advocate. But she used to, you look at the field she used to play in, or the College World Series is coming up. They show videos of these girls. They used to play without helmets. I tell my little girls, I used to play in shorts. Now it's like pants all the time. You got face masks on. I mean, just watching the evolution of protecting female athletes and giving them the opportunities to play, especially, at the collegiate and professional level, is just so cool. And I have 3 daughters, so I really, care about where the trajectory is going for women's sports.
Dr. Jaime Seeman joining us here on Let It Fly show. They used to play the Women's College World Series at Seymour Smith. That tells you where it is now and where it used to be. It was at Seymour Smith for multiple years, which tells you a lot about it. You look at somebody, you look at the athletes of today, and obviously you are a great athlete yourself. You've trained athletes. When you look at them today, though, and how the jump they've made, what are your thoughts of saying, I play that sport, but they play that sport?
The game has changed.
Yeah.
They're getting bigger, faster, stronger than ever before. And when I went to college, is the first year that they moved the pitchers back 3 feet. And the reason they did that is because they wanted to get softball on TV. And when people watch on TV, first of all, you got to get it in like a 2-hour, 3-hour time window. But people want to see the long ball. They want to see home runs. Now
you couldn't hit it from 33
softball has a
feet or
short
whatever.
game. Softball has a short game for sure. It's really fun to watch the bunting and the slappers and the hitters, and there's so much strategy there. But they've tried to give an advantage to the hitters. But dang, the hitters are good now. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with, the strike zone. They're looking at MLB, umpires and all that. The game is just evolving at a really rapid pace. But the athletes today, I mean, the resources that they have available, especially in this day of NIL and the funding that's coming into these sports, nutrition, sports psychology. I mean, just it's crazy. I'm starting to feel like the old lady, because I used to say back when I played, you get like kicked out of the university for a Subway sandwich, and now they're paying you to go eat it.
When you were high school, Waverly, right?
Yep.
You were a pitcher?
I was a pitcher. I was a pitcher in high school. Collegiately, I really wasn't recruited as a pitcher. I was just really recruited more as just a utility player, essentially. If you're an athlete and you can hit and you can run and you can work hard, we're going to find a place to put you on the field. So when I went to Nebraska, I started in the outfield, and then Peaches James graduated. Summer Tobias transferred to BYU. So I did have the opportunity my sophomore and junior year to pitch, along with my roommate Ashley DeBurr, who played softball down for the Beatrice High School. And what a cool thing. Never thought, I would ever see the pitcher's mound, at Nebraska and in Bullen Stadium. And I got that opportunity, and it was amazing.
I've seen incredible pitchers. Obviously, we've seen Peaches. Jordy Fromm is a whole nother level.
Oh, my gosh.
When you watch her pitch and you think about yourself as a pitcher, what do you think about when you watch her?
Yeah. Jordy is just one of the most well-rounded humans to ever step on the pitcher's mound. I mean, she's a great athlete, but she's an incredible human off the field. And, coming back from her ACL injury really early in the season last year, having to take an entire season off and making her way back to rehab to where she is now. I mean, it's so fun to watch her on the mound. And you can tell her presence on the mound, it would take a lot to rattle her.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and then flip that, put her in the batter's box. She's an incredible hitter. She's fast. She's amazing on the base pass, which you don't always see for pitchers. They don't always go both ways. And so she will, mark my words, go down as, one of the best softball players to ever play the game in the United States.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You mentioned her ACL. I've always been intrigued by this. Why do you think women are more prone to ACL tears? We used to see it a lot in volleyball. Then we saw it in basketball. Now we're seeing it occasionally in other sports. Soccer, for example, you've seen it. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, there's a few reasons. One is because weight training is not cool for little girls. It's a male thing, right? To lift weights and to be strong and to have muscles. And so we're not getting women, into the weight room and really developing their leg strength. And little girls and young female athletes tend to be very quad dominant. And so when you get imbalances like that, when you get really strong quadriceps and less strength in the glutes and the hamstrings, it puts an undue pressure on the knee that sometimes is prone to injury. The other part of it is that female hormones are different. As girls are kind of going through those developmental stages and starting menstruation, they have more estrogen, and estrogen makes those ligaments more loose and lax. So female athletes who have a menstrual cycle are more prone at particular parts of the menstrual cycle to those types of injuries. And these aren't things, obviously, that we're talking about at the professional level. We might be, but not in young athletes. And so, my advice for them, there's a few tests you can do to actually look at your female athletes. If their knees are caving in, they're way more prone to ACL injuries. And so there's a lot we can do with strength and stability. There's actually, if you identify an at-risk athlete, there's PT programs that can help reduce the risk of ACL injuries, and ACL injuries are really hard to come back from. I mean, we're talking, it could be a 9 or 12 month return to play.
Yeah.
So that's a a big hit when maybe you're a superstar and
Right,
you're
right.
going to miss your senior year. So women are more prone to those types of injuries, and it doesn't get talked about a lot.
Yeah, it's 6 months physically. Then in your mind, I tore mine twice, and it's just the next time you're throwing a basketball or whatever, you're thinking to yourself, is it going to tear
Don't feel
again?
as confident.
Right, right. And then if you're wearing a brace, you don't always feel more confident wearing that too. So let's go back to high school. And what kind of high school player were you overall? I know you did everything. You played tennis too, right?
So
basketball?
I played softball in the fall. I played basketball in the winter. My freshman year in high school, I went out for track. I was the 300 meter hurdles and did high jump, but I ended up with a little bit of a stress fracture in one of my legs, probably from competing and things year round. And so my brother had learned how to play tennis, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna teach myself how to play tennis because that looks fun and I can stay in shape. So my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I played tennis for my high school.
Yeah.
Went to state, competed in doubles. It was super fun, and now I've picked up pickleball.
Of course.
I can't believe it took me this long to get out there.
Have you played with Johnny yet?
I know, but I was at a leadership retreat and I was like, this is so much fun. And so I joked with my husband that when the delivering babies things wears off on me, I'm gonna join the pickleball circuit.
Johnny and his daughter, they won the city championship.
Incredible.
Yeah, Jewel and Johnny Rogers won it together. It's pretty
I've
interesting.
found some places in Omaha, and I'm watching these people play on the court. They're like 60, 70-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
They're just flying around because that's a condensed court. You don't have to go long distances, but dang, that's a fun game.
But trust me, they still get hurt. I was working in the pavilion for a little while, and you'd hear the call go, ACL, Achilles.
I
something.
had an orthopedic friend that works here in town that said they've seen a rash of pickleball injuries in the older population.
Yeah,
so,
got to be careful out there.
Yeah.
Jaime Seeman joining us, OB-GYN, Mid-City OB-GYN joining us on Let It Fly show. You were our sponsor for the Jordan Larson Award, which goes to the most outstanding high school female athlete. You spoke at the event, and I swear afterwards I heard more about what you had to say than almost anything. Why was it important for you to get that message out and kind of go over a little bit the importance of making sure we have these awards for female athletes, have these girls playing at a young age, getting out there and playing sports?
I think it's important to continue to recognize, premier female athletes. But as a whole, we kind of alluded to this earlier, the opportunities for girls, it's not just about the scoreboard. It's not about the championships and things like that. It's about raising women who are capable of incredible things after sport, life after sport. We don't talk about it enough. And we know the data shows that girls drop out of sports. Middle school is a very common time. 8th grade is a common time that girls drop out of sports.
Yep.
And it's not because of lack of opportunity. We have tons of opportunities for these girls. So why are they dropping out? Well, part of it, certainly is they don't see themselves represented at higher levels. And it's so important that they stay in and they compete, even if it's just at the high school level, because we know the statistics show that girls that play sports in high school go on to be better leaders. They go on to own companies. They go on to get better jobs. And an incredible statistic. There's less anxiety. There's less depression. There's less mental health in girls who play sports. So there's just so much to be gained, even outside of the uniform. And so I got 3 girls. They're out there. I said, what do you want to do? I don't care what sport you want to play.
Yeah, right.
They're playing softball now, which is super fun. But, whatever the sport is, even if it's dance or if it's cheer, or it's just, they gain so much confidence seeing what they're capable of physically, and the mental aspect of it is huge too. And they go on to do amazing things.
Yeah, I've read before, less chance of teen pregnancy, less chance of cervical cancer, Like there's all kinds of things
Yes.
when you're just being an athlete
Yeah.
at a young age. It really is. Tell me what you would tell this young woman here, Jamie Borg, if you go back and say, hey, this was coming up.
Yeah.
What advice would you give her?
Yeah. Well, my social media is called Dr. Fit and Fabulous,
Yeah.
and that young lady right there had no idea that she'd be sitting at this podcast table right now. When I left sports and I went to medical school, it was kind of a monumental moment for me of like, taking off the helmet, setting down the glove, putting on the white coat, and now just kind of going into this new chapter of my life. Well, what I didn't realize was the things that sport taught me from a physical standpoint. I didn't like my muscles. I was a 2-time weightlifter of the year at Nebraska. I have these like really cool trophies with this like really muscular woman. And I was like, I'm ready to like shrink my quads a little bit. I was getting married to my husband. I wanted to be thin. I wanted to be skinny. So, that's what when I was, in the 80s and 90s, Cosmopolitan magazine, which is what I consumed, on a regular basis, like these models are thin. And so, when I left sports, I was like, okay, it's time to be more feminine. And I went to medical school. I'm sitting in the library for like long hours at a time. I'm not in the weight room. Nobody's forcing me to train at 5 a.m.
Sure.
And when I went through my 3 pregnancies, my own health slipped. And thank God in 2015, I lost one of my best friends, had this huge epiphany in my life that as a physician, I needed to be a leader. I need to be able to like walk the walk and talk the talk for my patients. We all have the same struggles. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. How do we do the things we're supposed to do to keep ourselves healthy? So, looking back to that girl who was getting a nutrition degree and an exercise science degree and competing as a collegiate athlete.
Yeah.
Man, I had the foundation to do it. But you know what? That's life. And you learn life lessons by living it. And I have so much to gain by the struggles that I went through with my own health. And thankfully, I think it's paying off for me and my patients and for my 3 girls.
You mentioned, I will tell you, you earned 4 letters in softball, 1 in track, 3 in basketball and tennis. You mentioned your father played for Nebraska. Your uncle also played for Nebraska.
2 uncles. I had one that played basketball, one that also played football.
That played football as well. How important was it for you in your family to follow in their footsteps, like in terms of the athletic part of it? Because when you go, I always joke around, we're playing cards at the table, you're playing dominoes or something, and you're talking about sports. You want to be one of the people that were a part of it. How important was that for
100%. As a little girl, I'm born and raised in Nebraska, Michael. I've never left this state. I say if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
So, I grew up going to the Husker basketball games, men and women, and watching these athletes. And my dad played there, and I could have gone out and made my own story. I had an offer from Oklahoma State, other Big 12 schools and things like that. But for me, the loyalty and the pride that Nebraskans who sit in those stands and cheer for those athletes, I wanted to play for them.
Right.
I wanted to play for them. This is my state, and these are my cities, and these are my people. So, for me, I turned down college scholarships to walk on at Nebraska. And I think even when you look at the football program in particular, my dad was a walk-on at Nebraska. He earned his way. And for me, that was really important. And now with NIL, it was like no amount of money. I wanted to play for Nebraska, whatever it took.
Right. 4 years, you're on the Big 12 honor roll. Obviously, you were into the books. Did you know it was always going to be medicine, or did you think about other things you might want to do?
There's no doctors in my family, but my mom was a nurse, and she got into healthcare administration in her career, and she was kind of my exposure to the medical field. And, I was a little kid. I loved it. My parents told the story. I cracked my head open when I was a really little girl, and they took me into the ER, and they were like, you can close your eyes. We'll bring you a teddy bear.
Right.
Can you bring me a mirror? I want to see it.
Right.
You're going to put the stitches right here.
Right.
Like, find a mirror so I can watch this. I was so into it.
Yeah.
And then, I'm growing up in the era of like ER and George Clooney, and gosh, that looks really fun.
Yeah,
and cool.
definitely. Yeah.
So I always, had an interest in medicine, but my mother was the one that sat me down and she said, you know what? If I had to do this all over again, I would have just gone to medical school. And for me, that was like big, right? Because I think we limit little girls.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, you can be a teacher, you can be a nurse, there's like things, and it was like, no, you can be a doctor. And then I went to medical school, and the only thing she told me was, whatever you do not be an OB-GYN.
Why did you say that?
And so I think she knew, I got married, right before medical school. I think she knew I wanted to have a family. And I think she understood that there was going to be a lot of challenges being a mom and being a doctor, and, what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. Well, have it be, I fell in love with surgery. I was like, really into these surgical subspecialties. Do I want to do plastic surgery, do general surgery? What do I want to do? Well, I went on my OB-GYN rotation, and I was like, okay, wait, these people do a lot of surgery and
Oh,
they
yeah.
deliver babies and they just take care of women. And every single night I would go home and I couldn't read and read and read and learn enough. So I had to break the news to my mom. I said, Mom, I think I want to be an OB-GYN. And she said, you're dead to me. She said, I'm menopausal and I've had a hysterectomy and you're no good to me anymore. But man, today, right here sitting in this chair, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Right.
I love taking care of women. I love bringing life into the world. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, like, my job is a day that people celebrate every single day, right?
Right,
Until the end of
yeah.
their life. And so what a cool part to be a part of everybody's story, to help women through all the different stages. And now I got 3 young girls. So, I see everything from teenage patients to older patients and everything in between. And it really is fulfilling. It really is
Right.
fulfilling. It is, the lifestyle is not easy. I deliver babies morning, noon, and night, and holidays and weekends. And thankfully, I have the most supportive partner and husband in the world, that lets me do what I do.
Yeah.
And helps take care of things at home. When right tonight, he's got 3 kids. He's running around taking them to practice while I'm
Yeah.
here. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
Wouldn't change it for the
You
world.
brought up taking care of women, and I don't understand why, but I've read a lot about this. I hear my wife talking about it, who's a social worker and worked in maternal care. Why do you believe that women aren't taken care of as well? Not you guys. I read your reviews at Mid City. You guys do amazing with your
Yeah.
patients, but more women go home from hospitals with symptoms that should keep them there, go home and die. We have this prenatal care that isn't as good as other countries. Why do you think we don't take care of our women as well as we should?
Well, for years, women have been understudied too. The female physiology is very complex.
Yeah.
It's hard to do studies on women. You can't do studies on pregnant people because that's not, ethical. And so there's a lot of reasons why we really have shied away from pouring in research dollars to women's health. Menopause is getting its name in the news right now. And so we're seeing some shifts, which are incredible. But you're right. Our healthcare system in the U.S., for being one of the most developed countries in the entire world, our
Right.
healthcare system spends more dollars and has worse outcomes than other comparable countries. And that's a complex problem with a whole bunch of layers to it. But maternal mortality, you're right. We also have a high maternal mortality rate compared to other countries, and that population that is extremely at risk tends to be the African American
I know, yeah.
population and women over the age of 40. And today, actually, just this last month, a study came out showing there's more pregnant women in their 40s now than teen pregnancies. So, great that we're helping the young girls and helping the teens, but women are delaying childcare. Women are working in the workforce. We're seeing an older population of women that are getting pregnant.
Right.
And with the African American population, a lot of it has to do with access to care and acknowledgement of symptoms. There is racial disparity in healthcare that exists to this day. And so what
Yeah.
we can do as healthcare providers with the dissemination of stuff on social media is making sure that pregnant and postpartum women in particular know the warning signs, because worldwide, the most common reason for a woman to die is hemorrhage. But in the US, we're actually really good at treating that. The number one reason a woman dies here in the US is because of hypertensive, high blood pressure disorders, preeclampsia,
Preeclampsia, yeah.
stroke, and blood clots postpartum. So we need to understand, in our community here in Omaha, we have a new initiative that's been put out. Postpartum women, there's kind of a teal turquoise wristband that they wear when they leave the hospital. For the first 42 days postpartum, they should leave that on, because that's when they're at the highest risk of something happening.
Right.
And that identifies to anybody around them that they're at risk, that something could happen at any moment. So we do need to do a better job. It's obviously a very large, complex problem to fix. But we're going to just keep, pedaling through, because women deserve it.
Yeah, that's the part that bothers me the most, is that we know the problems there, and we have the money. Obviously, we're the most wealthiest country ever in the history of the world, and we still don't know how to quite fix it. And then what I was reading about the African American women is it doesn't have anything to do with their economic status.
No.
We have women with insurance
Yeah.
who should be getting the coverage, who should be getting taken care of, who aren't. So that's one thing that I think they really need to work on, just figuring out why we're here, then start working on, obviously, solutions. But
yeah, absolutely. There was a headline article, a woman who she actually worked herself as a midwife, who passed away this last year, and it was due to a hypertensive disorder. And so even the most well-educated person with all the resources is still certainly at risk.
Jaime Seeman joined us. She is a doctor of OB-GYN, Mid-City OB-GYN, done a lot of other things, including Titan Games.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know there's 5 former Huskers that have been on those shows? Either
That's so
Titan
cool.
Games or the American Ninja.
The Ninja Warrior.
Ninja Warrior, which shows what kind of athletes we have here at Nebraska, right? But what got you into that? What made you say, I want to be on a Titan? Well, I want to meet The Rock.
It's a wild story. Okay, so when I was a little girl, American Gladiators was the show. I would come home, I would turn it on, and I was like, I want to be Diamond. Like that was like, she was so cool. So then fast forward, it's 2019, and I'm scrubbing into a surgery in the operating room, and I'm putting my gloves and my gown on, and my scrub tech says, oh my God, have you seen this Titan Game show? You should apply to be on it. It totally made me think of you. I had no idea what she was talking about. So I went home that night and I Googled this, and I'm like, this is like American Gladiators. Well, I actually looked at their application process, and it was like, you got to submit this video, and you got to do pull-ups, and you got to do push-ups, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. In 2019, I had only been back weightlifting in the gym for 1 year. You know, I had babies in 2011, 2013, 2015, trying to get my health back after this big thing in 2015. And the level of self-doubt was like as high as Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, I was like, there's no way I can do this. I'm a mom, I'm a doctor. There's no way I can.
You don't have time.
I'm watching the video. I'm like, I can't compete with those people. So for weeks and months, it just kind of like gnawed at the back of my brain. I'm like, what if you try? What if you try? What happens? Worst thing that's going to happen? They say no, you don't go, right? You don't compete. So months later, I submitted the application. I turned it in, didn't hear anything. December of 2019, I get this phone call. And one of the producers was like, hey, The Rock saw your video, and he's your #1 pick. And I'm like, oh, The Rock? Dwayne The Rock Johnson wants me to come compete on Titan Games. Well, little did I know, it actually wasn't a guaranteed thing. You have to come out to LA, and I had to try out. So they brought in, like 100 athletes, 50 men, 50 women. And they're like, okay, you're going to do a max deadlift. You're going to do a 40-yard sprint. You're going to do a VO2 max. You're going to do all these things. And so I went out there, and I'm like standing amongst like the top CrossFitters in the world, and all these like people from the military. I mean, they're like super fit. And once again, here come the feelings. You're a mom, like you can't compete with these people. Well, funny enough, at the tryouts, they put me on a treadmill next to a former Nebraska athlete who ended up competing on the show. And I just remember thinking, she's did decathlons. And I remember thinking, I'm not getting off this treadmill till she does. And that like competitive spirit just came back. I got a call 2 weeks later to come out and be on the show and to film and compete and to have my daughters there to watch that. Like what an amazing opportunity, you know? I ended up being an alternate for the finals, finishing in the top 6 for women, which I was one of the oldest women on the show. There was only, one other mom that was similar age to me. What a fun opportunity, and forever grateful for that day.
I remember watching it. My wife and I were team Danny Spiegel.
Yeah, Danny ended up winning it.
She was incredible. I still follow her on Instagram. I think that she should come down to Nebraska. I think she could really help in some of the weightlifting exercises that she does, because they do so many things and you were talking earlier about the ACL. They do so many things that don't allow you to get injured, right? They're working everything in all different ways, and they're doing these creative exercises and stretches. And it's just fascinating to watch.
Yeah, Danny's a well-rounded athlete, but she's about 16 years younger than me.
Yeah. And she's little too, right?
She took me to town. But what a fun time. And my kids and I still will pop up the episodes, on YouTube and watch them. And
did Ben think about trying? I mean, he's in great shape.
He is in great shape, but no, he comes to the gym with me. We train together. He's definitely gotten back to his fitness. He's competed in a couple bodybuilding shows in the last several years. He was the one that forged his way. I've done 2, but I was a follower, not a leader. He did the first one, and so we're getting back into our lives because our kids are a little bit older now. We got a little bit more freedom. But it's an important aspect for us to model that for our girls. They see we wake up every day at 5 a.m. We go to the gym. That's the first thing we do. They watch what we eat. Hey mom, why are you weighing that chicken breast over there? Because I got to get my protein in, right? That's how my body repairs itself. That's how it fuels itself. I think it's important to talk to our kids about what we put in our bodies and how it makes us feel. And I never got that as a little kid. I was like in the 90s growing up on like hamburger helper, but without any hamburger in it. You know? We only know what we know, and so we're really trying to model that behavior for our girls because I wish I would have known it sooner. Yeah,
let's brag on them a little bit. What are they doing sports wise? Where are they?
Well, they're all multi-sport athletes. They play softball, they play basketball. My oldest has gotten into shot put and discus. She's a great track athlete.
Wow.
It's so fun to watch your kids compete, but it's funny
scary
to watch them.
It is. You're so much more. tense than you are when you're doing it yourself.
When Peaches James played at Nebraska, her mother could never be inside the ballpark when she was pitching. And
Wow.
you would watch her. She was out behind like left or right field and way far away. And
Yeah.
now, like as a mom, because my kids pitched for a few years, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like you just feel this crazy amount of pressure, like when your kid is in that position, you know,
Yeah.
they're feeling it themselves, right? When the game is on the line. But as a parent, oh my gosh, you feel it too, because, you know, you want them to succeed, but also, you know, I put them in sports because I want them to fail. I want them to, you know, feel adversity. I want them to play for a coach that they don't like, that's mean, because I think these are ways that we figure out who we are and,
Right.
and what values we carry and how to be a teammate and how to lift teammates up. And so, you know, as hard as it is sometimes, you know, to let them struggle, it's so fun to watch them compete.
Yeah, failure is the best educator.
Yeah.
You learn so much more.
You're going to learn a lot about
Yeah,
yourself.
no doubt. Let's talk about, where did you develop Dr. Fit and Fabulous, and then get into the Hard to Kill Academy? When did you build all of that?
Yeah. Well, here I am one night sitting on my couch, struggling with my health. I'm a pre-diabetic. I'm on thyroid
Yeah, you didn't
meds.
even
I'm a
mention
little
that.
bit overweight. I haven't been back in the gym in a really long time. I'm eating like garbage. My husband was a police officer. He's working nights. I mean, at that moment, I thought I was doing the best I can. So I have this epiphany. I'm like, okay, listen, I'm going to get my health back, and I'm going to do it online. And I'm just going to show everybody that doctors are humans and we have all the same struggles. I have no idea where I came up with Dr. Fit and Fabulous, but it was on my couch one night in my living room.
Right.
So I start this social media, and it just started sharing my story. Hey, here's what I'm eating. Okay, I'm training. Okay, here's a little motivation. You know, just trying to talk to other moms out there.
Right.
And it just like organically gained this traction. And then I went back and did a fellowship in integrative medicine. I thought, I need more tools in my toolbox for patients. You know, how do I help people do the things they're supposed to do? And it really shifted my medical practice in a really awesome way, because most doctors aren't really practicing what we call preventative medicine.
Yeah.
They're just, right, here's your prescription, here's your surgery, we're going to put the Band-Aids on it. For me, I was like, how do I sit with a woman in a clinic and say, okay, here's how you get off your blood pressure meds. Here's how we're going to get you off your diabetes meds. Here's how we're going to optimize your health before you get pregnant, because that's where I felt I could make the biggest impact in the world. And so I can only see, you know, 15, 25 patients a day in clinic,
Yeah.
but on online, I can talk to hundreds of thousands of women a day and disseminate some of these important messages. So I think we need the good doctors and the good advocates out there, because social media certainly can be a double-edged sword. But Dr. Fit and Fabulous started me as a person, a normal person, normal human, struggling with their health and learning how to dig out of that hole.
And then the Hard to Kill Academy, where'd that come along?
And so then people were like, well, do you coach? Do you coach? Do you have an online course? And I didn't. I was like, no, I mean, here's what I did. I told you what I did. Watch the videos. Yeah. And so I started having these coaching groups, and I would bring in this kind of cohort of women, and 8 weeks at a time, I'd say, okay, this is how you're going to eat, and this is how you're going to train, and let's keep each other accountable, and, you know, let's do some prizes. And people loved that. And so then I thought, you know, how do I create something that can live for a long time? And so I built Hard to Kill Academy. It's a video series. It's self-taught, but we do quarterly Q&A calls with me, so they have access to me. I mean, it's not, you know, I'm not hiding. I'm real and I'm authentic, and I'm gonna, you know, give you the advice that I can, you know, as not your doctor, but, you know, a doctor online. And so Hard to Kill Academy, we have a great group of people that I've been helping, and there's some really, really cool success stories, and that's really fun for me. I've ran into some of these people, you know, at airports and things like that. I'm one of your Academy members, and it's so
Nice.
cool to see them in person, because my followers are really, I mean, I have followers like in other countries, which just blows my mind that this like one doctor in Omaha is like touching people in India and Australia and South America. So Hard to Kill Academy is out there. You know, if people want to go check it out, it's not a huge thing, because I'm a full-time doc, and that's where, you know, that's where I've put a lot of my time and effort, is taking care of my patients here in Omaha.
Do you have a book?
But I do. It's called Hard to Kill. And it is a story about my story about going through health struggles. It gives a little bit of insight into our healthcare system and what I think some of the problems and solutions are. But it's really built around these, what I call the 5 pillars of health. And these are the foundational principles of health. You know, until you can get these 5 things in a good place, you know, I think people really get down in the weeds with when they get some sort of diagnosis, right? One option is just take the medicine.
Sure.
But the other option is to say, okay, where can I do better with how I eat and how I sleep and how I mitigate stress? I think everybody hears about diet and exercise, but it's much more than that. It's the people,
Yeah.
places, and things that you surround yourself with. It's learning how to be resilient from stress. I lead a really stressful life.
Right.
How do I come back every day and do it again? And I think that is a golden nugget that doesn't get talked about a
Yeah.
lot. It's just that mental resiliency.
Well, I think having your day from the beginning to the end scheduled and knowing you got it filled, I think that actually can help you at times.
Yeah.
I think the older I've gotten, the worse I've gotten because I'm not as scheduled as I used to be when I was working 2 jobs and I was doing something. I think having it the way you are, I think is healthier for you,
Yeah.
really.
Well, we create something called decision fatigue. And this is where a lot of people fail. We make thousands of decisions a day, right? Where am I going to park my car? What am I going to eat for dinner?
Right.
All these things. And so what I do is I try to minimize my decision fatigue. Training is at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable. Wake up, go do it. I try to do the same thing with my nutrition. I try to prep things ahead of time. Here's what I'm going to eat. Don't have to make any decisions. Just eat this.
Right.
You can habit stack. I try to habit stack some of the good healthy things that I do them all at the same time. Put all the supplements into one thing. I only have to do one thing. We really, as humans, try to take really simple things and make them very complex, so complex that we just can't do it. And so, being healthy is not as hard as it should be in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just went over a whole bunch of stuff that you've done. We've been going for I think 40 minutes. And then you decide, you know what, let's march from Lincoln to Omaha. Let's establish the 15-mile march on a whim with 5 other people, right?
Yeah, the first year there was 6.
6 of you guys doing it.
people.
Where did that come from? I know Jay very well. I know him. I know John Bodie and I know those guys, and Matt
Yeah.
Bills. But why did you guys say to yourselves, you know what, why not let's just walk from 50 miles?
So in 2020, my friend Jay Morales was turning 50. And he said, for my 50th birthday, I want to do something cool. I want to walk 50 miles from Lincoln to Omaha, and I want to raise $2,500, and I want to give it to a program that helps homeless veterans. Because one time in my life, I was housing unstable. That's what he calls it. And I said, okay, well, that's kind of a crazy idea. And this is, mind you, around the time when I had just finished Titan
Right,
Games.
yeah.
I was running as Mrs. Nebraska, going to go compete at Mrs. America. The pandemic's hitting. And I said, that sounds like a great idea. But because of the pandemic, he was like, maybe next month, maybe next month. And so I'm like, I don't know if he's going to do it or not.
Right.
Well, August of 2020 came around. I just finished Mrs. Nebraska, and he calls me up on a Wednesday. And he says, hey, what are you doing on Friday, Saturday? Because I think I'm going to do this 50 miles. And I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And because I had just won Mrs. Nebraska, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my platform to help spread your message. I'm going to use this to help you gain traction. We're going to get a whole bunch of money donated. We're going to do more than 2,500.
Right.
Then I called my husband. I said, hey, babe, we're going to walk from Lincoln to Omaha. And he's like, well, I work on Friday, but when I get off my 12-hour shift, I'm going to walk with you because that doesn't sound very safe.
Right.
So there ended up being 6 of us.
Yeah.
Here, oh my gosh.
Were you on Highway 6?
We had no idea what we were
And
getting
you didn't have any
ourselves into.
support or anything like we have
None,
now. Right.
None. We had one guy in an RV, and
Yeah.
he would drive ahead to the next spot and stop and hope we got there. I mean, it was crazy. So we take off.
Did you tell the police? Did you tell anybody? Law enforcement? Sheriff's office?
We got pulled over by 3
I bet.
different police departments, and they all were like, what are you
doing? Yeah.
We're like, we're walking to Omaha to raise money. And they
Right.
were like, oh, okay. But here's the thing. I took a picture in my Mrs. Nebraska crown with my sash on at the starting line. Jay says,
I dare you.
bet you can't wear that to Omaha.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, now I got to do it.
Yeah.
Now I got to do it. So I wore it. And some of these police are like, why is this girl in a crown on Highway 6 outside Ashland?
Right.
This is the wildest thing I've ever seen. So we march, we get there. I didn't think we were going to finish. There was a lot of times where I didn't think we were going to finish, but we
Right.
did. And we raised $26,000
Wow. And the
Just-
goal was 2,500.
just overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we
Yeah.
we 100x'd it. And so we all thought, okay, this is it. We're going to donate and then all of a sudden, Jay and I are getting phone calls and text messages. When are you doing it next year? When are you We're like, wait, there's not a next year. What do you mean next year?
Right.
And so we sat there and we're like, okay, should we do it next year? Okay, let's do it. Let's try to grow this into something. And so Matt Bills helped document it for us with picture and video. And so he said, okay, we need Matt to tell the story. Jamie's going to help get more people in here. This was Jay's mission. We're going to support our buddy. And oh my gosh, here we are now in 2026.
Yeah.
And we have hundreds of marchers, hundreds of thousands of people who are just supporting this mission. I mean, we're talking, millions of dollars at this
Right.
point from year to year of what we raised. And everybody gets to live in the United States of America, the freest country in the world, and we owe that to our veterans
Yeah.
who have served here, who have served elsewhere over the years. Everybody has a veteran in their life, and to support the people that were willing to lay down their life for you, how can you not get behind that?
Yeah.
So it's been just amazing to see the level of support. For me, obviously, like there's this physical mission, right, of like walking 50 miles. And I remember that first year, I remember thinking, it's just walking.
Right.
And then I'm like picturing myself driving a car from Lincoln to Omaha. I'm like, that's a long,
Long way. Yep. Yep.
And now doing it, 6 years, this will be my 7th year. It's not easy. And I think that as humans, we sometimes don't get a lot of opportunities to really struggle, to really suffer. I mean, some
Yeah.
do. But, for most people, they've lived a pretty, good life, and they haven't gotten into that. And it is just the most symbolism of what these veterans go through when they're homeless, when they want to kill themselves,
Yeah.
when they're struggling, when they don't have a penny in the bank account, they don't have a friend to call. It's just it's a great level of symbolism. But the marchers are one thing, but we also have people
Support
that donate
staff, yeah.
money and
Yeah.
we laugh about that first year. We had no volunteers. We had
Right.
no volunteers bringing us water, helping us like bandage our blisters
Right,
on
yeah.
our feet.
Yep.
I mean, I've got some crazy pictures. A lot of the marchers do. So 50-mile march, I just love what Jay has built. And it's, sometimes crazy ideas start on a bar napkin. And this one was
Yeah.
just a text, a phone call of like, just crazy idea.
Yeah. When people ask me about it, I tell them as a veteran, like my father's generation, they knew more people who were killed actually fighting. I know more people that died after getting out.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to fix
Yeah.
that gap. We still go to war, we still do things, but
It's like
when they
life
get home,
after sports. It's
Yeah.
life after military,
Right.
life after Air Force,
Yeah.
right? Like most of these people aren't, in the service actively until they're 80, right?
Right.
They come home and they have families and they, a lot of times go back into civilian positions and the real world, and they struggle.
Yeah.
Some of them have PTSD. Some of them went into the military because they didn't have a great home life, and now they come out and they don't have that family support. So the ways that we can help them with, finding stable housing and getting jobs and getting skills and assets that are going
Yeah.
to help them, pay their way is just feels so good.
Yeah, it really is amazing. So you wore the crown. Where did you have the blister?
I lost. I got like a scab right here that year, and I'm not sure how I did that because now when I do the march, like I don't even like anything hanging on
Yeah,
my body.
right.
I've gotten like real good at how things feel. I look back at the pictures and just laugh. So
Yeah.
the crown is in its case. It's in my house, and it was great to use the platform
Yeah.
to help spread the message, but. I don't know how I did that looking back.
And then tell us what happened under the Ashland Bridge when
Well,
somebody was killed.
You get a little delirious at 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, yes, you do.
So me and John Bodie, one of the other marchers, we're walking along, and you're pretty observant when you got nothing else to do, and it's pitch black in the
Right.
middle of nowhere with no lights. And we saw this car down by the river, and as we started walking up, all of a sudden you could see somebody scrambling to get in their car, and they turned on the car really quick, and they made like a very quick exit. And I'm like, that person just did something illegal. Like they're like doing
Right.
drugs, or they like killed somebody, like dumped a body. So when we got to the next stop, I'm like telling everybody this story, and Matt Bills ended up capturing it on video. But I was very convinced that something completely nefarious happened by that river. And then the next day, there was a woman that had gone missing. And so
Oh,
I'm calling
no.
my husband, and I'm like,
Right.
I'm telling you, like something happened. My husband drove to that area, and he looked around, and obviously he didn't see anything suspicious. But I was like very, very delirious at 3 a.m. and convinced that a crime had happened.
Yeah.
But it's, oh my gosh, we were so unsafe. I mean, these days, what we have for our marchers, we tried it because if one person, goes down, our mission is all for naught. And so we try to keep it really safe for the marchers. But that first year, it was the wild, wild west out there.
Yeah. Proud last year, members of the yellow now gold platoon lost no one. The whole 50 miles, we lost no one. We were the only platoon that
Pretty proud.
that made it through.
Pretty
I know.
proud.
I know. I completely agree
Yeah.
with that. Tell me what's next.
Oh my gosh.
You got all this stuff. What's next for
What's next for me?
Yeah.
Well, I the honest truth is I'm getting into a chapter of my life where my oldest is starting high school. And I think being a teenage girl in this day and age is tough.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of reeled back on some of the things that I do outside of my clinic and my home because I want to be there for the next 8 years for these girls. And so I'm really trying to make being present for them a priority. That's super important to my husband and I. So I don't know. Sometimes these wild ideas just come into my mind.
I know.
I just competed in my last bodybuilding show back in September. I'll be doing the 50-mile march in August.
Of course.
And after that, we'll see. We'll see where it takes me. Yeah.
I was reading through the things that you do, and I didn't look it up because it sounded so interesting. What's a Da Vinci procedure?
So the Da Vinci robot is, I do robotic surgery.
Okay.
So, with the innovation in medicine and surgical technologies, we do robotic surgery. And it's a great minimally invasive option. But even cooler than the Da Vinci is my partner at Mid-City, Dr. Jess Prusia Flores, who actually is I call her the state surgeon general. She's in charge of the Nebraska National Guard. She's the top medical personnel, which is so cool. Her and I were the first two surgeons in the state of Nebraska to be certified in something called V-Notes, which is the next most minimally invasive way to do a hysterectomy, and it's all vaginal surgery. And we were the first two surgeons in the state of Nebraska to be certified to do that. So, I think it's cool to learn new things, but also evolving for our patients. Like, how do we improve outcomes? How do we get people, back to their lives faster? And so I do love being a surgeon. There's something very fulfilling about, it's just incredible. A patient comes back and you've completely changed their life, right?
Yeah.
And that's super fulfilling to me to use my hands and to use those skills to help people.
Yeah. You've had it. I say you had an amazing life. You got a long way to go still.
We're just getting
and you're
started.
just getting started in your life, but incredible stuff to talk about. Good luck to your daughters
Thank
in
you.
sports and to Ben to try to have teenage daughters. I have 2 boys. I cannot even imagine what that must be like because they portray them in TV shows horribly. And I know they're not that bad. But
I'm blessed. My girls really seem to have their head on straight right
Good,
now.
good.
But the best years are ahead of us for sure.
No doubt. Jamie, I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you
Michael.
very much for doing this. Thank you,
appreciate
Jaime
it.
Seeman. You can find her, Dr. Fit and Fabulous. You can also look up the Hard to Kill Academy and find her on all her socials as well.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back to Let It Fly Show. Special thanks to Dr. Jaime Seeman for coming in. Long day of work, doing surgery. She's out west. They got several locations, but she's at the West Clinic. She comes all the way downtown, and we appreciate her. I think she's a fascinating story. I think if you have daughters, I think listening to what she says, we actually recorded her speech at the Jet Award gala, and it was brilliant. It was great. Everybody talked about it afterwards. So you can find that online if you want to check that out as well. But just follow her, whether it be the Hard to Kill Academy or Dr. Fit and Fabulous or just overall online. And what they do at OB-GYN, Mid-City OB-GYN is incredible. You read their reviews. Women are so happy going to them, and they do a great job of taking care of them. And we need to take care of the women in our lives much better than we have been in this country. Again, thank you to her. Also, thank you to Caleb, who's running the board, as always. Stable Gray for putting everything together afterwards with the editing process. Of course, also Michael Allen, who is the executive producer of the show. Special thanks to Bud Light, making it easy to drink, easy to enjoy, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. You're watching Husker softball this weekend, or you're watching Husker baseball this weekend, or whatever you're doing. Bud Light makes it easy to drink and easy to enjoy. Reminder as well, if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. And then if you're checking us out on Spotify, like and follow that as well. Or if it's Apple, wherever you are listening to the show, we appreciate that. Your follows, your likes, and your subscriptions. Hopefully next week we'll be talking with a Husker coach, somebody from the staff. That's kind of the goal that we have for next week. And so we have our fingers crossed that we will have him on the show. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week on Let It Fly Show.